Okay, there it is. Hey, folks. March 22nd, we're talking about chapters 138 to 139, and we're almost done with the book. And this has to do with the English Civil War. So Oliver Cromwell was, he came up with something that you could think of as, he revolutionized how you can combine cavalry and muskets. And the term for these kind of fighters is dragoons. And what a dragoon essentially is, it's a guy who's a soldier who's infantry, a foot soldier, placed on horseback. So they're really, make sure you put the phones up. Make sure you put the phones up. I shouldn't see phones out. Like, I will take them to the office and they'll figure it out, all right? So, like, especially if, like, you're not looking at me and I'm wasting my breath and while I'm talking and you're, like, looking up kitty cat videos. Or worse. Yeah, so he's going to be very good at this, and he's also going to be a military leader in other ways, but it's because of these reforms, his integration into using fast-moving, gunpowder-using troops. The Cavaliers aren't going to be able to keep up with this. They're still stuck in the idea of having standard infantry and standard cavalry, where he's like, forget that. I can just move my troops around and shoot you. They're eventually going to capture King Charles, put him on trial, and behead him. The thing is when they behead him, they're going to do this pretty unilaterally. The radicals are going to take over Parliament. And the guys who were more middle ground, who thought that they could make peace, it didn't work out. This is really going to turn a lot of the English people against this new rump Parliament and Oliver Cromwell. But the thing is the military is going to have a complete control over the country. And here's where we're going to have England, and it had a traditional monarchy who is trying to rule by absolute power, is essentially going to be traded for a dictatorship that's powered by the military. And it's going to be a theocracy. It's essentially, they're going to have Puritans become in charge of the country, and they're going to enforce laws of mandatory church on Sunday. They're going to ban drinking and gambling and dancing, music, and a lot of things like that they see that could lead people to sin. And they're also going to ban other forms of worship. So this is going to bring back a period of religious persecution, but this time against Catholics and certain Anglicans. And so it's going to be pretty rough for these people. And there's going to be rebellion in Ireland. Charles the first son, Charles II, is going to go to Ireland seeking refuge with people who still claimed to follow the king. Cromwell couldn't stand this rebellion. And so he's going to conduct a military invasion of Ireland. And there's a lot of stories where there was essentially genocide. This is some of the first historical accounts we have of genocide. Cromwell is going to bring his troops into villages, and if they show any resistance, one of his trademarks would be to lock the families up in their churches and burn them down. So he was very cruel. When Ireland did finally submit, a lot of the Irish people were enslaved, and they invented what was known as the plantation system. Some of these slaves were actually sold in the Caribbean. And so this is where England is going to start essentially the enslaved plantation system that will very shortly afterwards, instead of Irish people, it's going to have African people work in them. So pretty dark period there. Is that Charles II? Yeah. Eventually, Cromwell is going to die after he's called Lord Protector, and you're going to have this theocracy, this dictatorship in England. They're sick and tired of this. They're going to beg and actually invite Charles II to come back to their country and be their king, which he will be. Life in France. In fact, a lot of people thought he was more French than English. So, but he's okay. And so he's going to bring to England a lot of French-style court fashion and stuff like that. He's known as being a very peaceful but extremely tolerant king. He didn't really care which church you go to. He's going to do a lot to avoid wars. Your book didn't point this out, but England, after they killed their king, they're going to be ostracized by the rest of the world. The entire rest of the world is going to stop trading with England. They're going to stop talking with them, sending diplomats. But now all of a sudden, England's part of the world again, and Americas and all that good stuff. So that pretty much does it for the English Civil War. Some of it was religious based, some of it political based. You have a lot of horrible killing. All civil wars are very, very, very bad. And then finally, people are begging for peace, begging for the old ways to come back just for some normality, right? And that's going to be the end. So we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about the English monarchies when we come back next time. And then we'll talk a little bit about France when we're done with this book. And then we can start with how the world becomes the way it is now in many ways. All right, so once again, our terms are: how did the English Civil War start? Oliver Cromwell, the Right Parliament, Ireland, Lord Protector, and a phone. Ella, what's your things? All right, so let's go ahead. Let's get that first one. How did the English Civil War start? So who did I give? I gave it to you three over here. All right. Turn the camera a little bit. Yeah. All right.
It's not helping you. Parliament.
Are you copying out of the book? I know you don't say thus.
That's just what I'm reading off.
You're reading off. Don't you put this in your own words?
He wrote it down.
Not all the time. We summarize some of the things that we
Yeah, I mean, it's okay to summarize, but I prefer it in your own words. Try to keep it within one sentence if y'all can. Like within one sentence.
Yeah, this one, all the comments.
Yeah, because when I see like these and thous,
No,
and so I got.
Rather than.
What does that mean? But wait a second.
Is that what that says?
You're right.
Revolution.
Yeah, but guys, that how does that start the war? How does them being along the lines of Reformation instead of revolution? Now, what your author's saying is that Parliament was thinking more like Martin Luther and John Calvin than they were like radical revolutionaries. But that doesn't explain why the Civil War started. The Civil War started because something the king did. What did the king do? So y'all figure that out. Let's go ahead and get the next one. Hey, Oliver Cromwell. Let's go ahead and have Oliver Cromwell. So yeah, I'm not getting on to you, but it's more to do with what the king did. The king tried to do something, but he failed, and so there was a war. Yeah, he messed up. He messed up. How did he mess up? It's at the beginning of that chapter.
Dang it, Junior.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, so when they're talking about like
That's
when these members of parliament represented universities, it's because back then they got to send a representative. So you could kind of think of it like a state here in America, as if Congress here, if we had people in Congress who were sent over by colleges, in a sense, places like that had certain privileges, I guess you could say, that we don't think of here in America. Yeah, the new model. So essentially, guys with muskets, right? Which is important. I mean, all right, cool. Yeah, so Oliver Cromwell, after Pym and Hampton died, took over from East England, representing the University of Cambridge, created the new model army, defeated Charles in the Battle of Naseby in 1645 AD, Annals Day. All right, let's go ahead. We're going to go to the first one last, give you guys some more time. So, Rump Parliament. So, what was that about? Uh-huh. Good.
Yeah, but it's a lot because it would have been longer if I didn't summarize.
Oh yeah, especially if you added the second chapter stuff, that would have been way too much. That's why I put Lord Protector at the bottom, so I can do that. Ariel, you okay? Ariel, are you okay? Okay.
Oh, all right. Going sideways. I'm not getting it right now.
All right, so the Rump Parliament, driven into the House of Commons. So, brought King Charles I to court, killed him, abolished the House of Lords. So the House of Commons was where ruled by mostly like wealthy business owners, right? And they're going to get rid of the House of Lords that had voice for nobility, and they're going to kill the king. So you're basically, and within the House of Commons, they're going to get rid of the people who that don't agree with them. So you're basically going to have a minority of people within the country have a voice over the whole country. And this is going to be why, and we'll talk about it next year, when you have people like James Madison proposed the U.S. Constitution, why they're going to be really careful about protecting certain, like all groups of people. Because if you don't protect a small group of people, then they might get weeded out as the ones that you're at war against. And then you'll go to war with the next one and the next one, just empowering them to tell just small groups in charge. became unpopular, then was abolished by Cromwell, and he'll become the Lord Protector. All right, so Ireland. Let's go to Ireland next.
Suck to be that.
Yeah, there we go. We're here. We're still here.
Watch your mic, soldiers. What kind of should we do about this stuff?
I know how to spell soldier.
There you go. It's voice activated.
Voice activated marker.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we have voice activated trash cans on.
And
What?
refrigerator
They do.
and oven.
Yeah, you can say
We do?
open and
That's lazy.
That's just retarded. Why can't you just open the door?
Because they want to sit there in their wheelchair.
Or like that Samsung refrigerator that you can see through.
They're
Just
actually-
open the daggone door.
Are you going to be like Wally or something?
Yes.
yeah.
No, I'm
I
gonna be
see
even
that
more
happening.
retarded than that.
One that, no one. Here's the time.
Logan be over here playing some kind of motocross game.
Yeah, I'm gonna play Skyrim when I take my fridge. Hold on a second.
My friend.
I wanna try that now.
You can soak in your oven.
I kinda wanna take that Samsung refrigerator and do that now.
Go get a tan in your oven.
Dude.
Get tan in your oven.
Dude.
I'm reading Dante.
Yeah, the summary after the results, but,
What summary?
The first page of the chapter is a summary of the document.
Oh, I read, I think I read it.
He's
Did you get it?
accurately.
No, pretty much.
Yeah, I read it.
Okay.
Very good. Ireland. Prince Charles invaded the country with no. Prince Charles was there. Cromwell invaded the country. Cromwell invaded the country with his trained troops. Yeah. Yeah. Easy fix.
You just write it down. Because I already wrote it down. You go.
It's called Cromwell.
There you go. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. People were getting slaughtered, shipped to Indies, Kansas. Yeah, pretty bad. And Ireland had been ever since then having hard times. All right, next one. Wait before that. Lord Protector. Lord Protector.
That's y'all.
That's you too, Shelby. All right. Yeah, it's you three.
The writing part, we did the research.
I read football. I fix the shit.
All right. Well, we did. So Lord Protector.
I want to watch.
Who, me?
Bro, whenever I get my bike, first thing we're doing that weekend.
No, we're gonna go to Athens. Athens is like we're not bringing in because I think Hayden's grounded for life.
No, he's not. He's only grounded for 2 weeks. Yeah, he told me, so like, okay, that's only grounded for 2 weeks.
If I was, if you were his dad, what would you do?
I'd be like, that shit.
No, I was thinking, I take away his bikes and stuff, and that's what I do. His dad won't did it to him once, dude. Huh? So,
All right. So Lord Protector Oliver Cromwell governed England for 5 years. His affairs were born. Yeah, they say that. I mean, I don't know so much about that. I think he strengthened their relationship with the Dutch, but that was it. Everybody else was super mad at him. So I think the author kind of whatever. But hey,
too short.
hey, full circle. What's our definition now for how did the English War, Civil War start? What do we say? They're gonna fix it? All right, fix it. Yeah, I mean, Parliament probably could have done something different, but
Reach, Junior, reach.
Reach, baby, man, reach.
Oh, you know.
it's okay.
You have to stand on your tippy toes, it's okay.
I know.
Boys.
Yeah. That would be. If someone,
Yes, the king. There you go. That's a good start. The king.
We really should have wrote it in Spanish.
I know.
Would be fair.
That's the
I would
point.
understand.
That's the point, it'd be hilarious.
Somebody's talking. I'm like, we have to slow down like Sesame Street level. Yes, that's the right answer.
No, it sounds good. Olive Garden.
No.
You've been correct.
Yep, so there we have it. So the king was taking his only chance to strike. And so to make 5 leaders surrender. So what it's saying is that they tried to arrest those leaders of parliament. They got away. And since it's kind of like, I guess, Star Wars, you know, they let the rebels get away. And so and then, you know, Star and the good guys lost. It was terrible. All right. Poor Sith. That's it for today. We're going to come back tomorrow and go over the next couple of chapters. All that good stuff. See you later.